It's now been 10 years since the UK left the European Union, Brexit. And if you ask, how is the UK doing now? Hi UK, how are you? The answer would probably be, not so great, and you? Because right now, whether it's politics, the economy, trade, or people's quality of life, none of it is going well. And that's the legacy of the referendum known as Brexit. Supporting Brexit, it's now been 10 years since the UK left the European Union. So how's it going? You can support the Thai Money Monster channel via this QR code or support Thai Money Monster. It's super easy. Just hit like, share, and leave a comment to chat with us. And please don't forget to click that subscribe button down below for us. And if anyone out there wants to support the work we do here on this channel so we can keep making fun and independent content like this, you can become a member by clicking the join button. Thank you all so very much for your support. Now, let's start by taking a look at the current state of politics in the UK right now. Because at the end of June, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, suddenly announced his resignation. So the country is now in a frenzy trying to appoint a new Prime Minister. This will be the 7th one in just 10 years. A lot of people are like, whoa, it's really worrying. But honestly, I'm not sure if it's actually that concerning. Because if it were our country, 7 prime ministers in 10 years, if you count the acting ones, we could probably match that. But anyway, let's get back to the UK. Because in the UK, it's really become an issue. Like, wow, the prime minister changes way too often. Changing back and forth, like a big corporation that keeps switching CEOs. Policies keep changing too. But somehow the customers are still upset. Can you picture that? This kind of political instability doesn't just affect politics. It shakes up the entire economy. Up until now, the UK's economy is in bad shape, along with all its industries. It's gotten to the point where there are memes about how often the Prime Minister changes. The only business that's still booming is probably the Prime Minister's emergency moving company. All this chaos and turbulence, both politically and economically, from a political and economic standpoint, and in every way, this isn't just a simple stroke of bad luck. It's the legacy of the Brexit referendum that took place on June 23, 2016. Yes, it's been 10 years now. Back then, before the referendum in 2016, there were 2 very different sides of the argument. There were 2 sides. One, the populist side, supported the idea that we had to Brexit. They even had a bus with a slogan that said, instead of paying the European Union 350 million a week, pounds, wouldn't it be better to use that money to invest in the NHS or our own healthcare system in England? At that time, England really thought of itself as the side that was creating value with Europe, and they had to spend effort and money like this just to pay the EU. They didn't like that and wanted to leave. They used this as a selling point, saying that if they stopped paying this amount to the EU and used it for their own wealth, the British people would have a better quality of life, a better life. We're doing it for the country. We'll be able to take back control of our laws and our borders. We won't have to listen to anyone else anymore. It's annoying. On the other side was the government at that time, who were like, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe it's better not to Brexit. So about a month before the Brexit vote, at that time, the UK Treasury actually published an article stating that Brexit would immediately push the UK into a recession for a full year, and that it would cause 500,000 jobs to disappear, just vanish. And it would shrink the GDP by 3%, by 6%. Housing prices would drop, the pound would weaken, and real wages would decrease. In the end, wow, what a mistake on Thursday. Economically speaking, the economy would collapse over the weekend. And then on Thursday, June 23rd, 2016, the results came out. As we all know, Brexit happened. The UK left the European Union. But when it actually happened, after the vote, the economy avoided recession and jobs remained. Brexit wasn't that bad, was it? Everyone kept their daily routines, waking up, going to the office, and gossiping with the next department and hosting after-work parties, and then living life happily. Were they really happy? Not so sure. But at that time, the British might have forgotten a little that Brexit would have to go through official procedures. And when it comes to procedures, official procedures are never fast. They take a long time. So after the referendum was done, the international trade rules like Hey, you can't just send things wherever you want. Those really came into effect 11 months. After that, next Brexit. It officially took effect on December 31st, 2020. And so, after everyone had finished celebrating New Year's Eve and welcoming the arrival of the new year, January 1st, 2021 was the exact moment when the new trade barriers between the UK and the EU actually came into full force. At that time, there were many people who used to say, hey, let's not go through with Brexit or the economy will collapse, probably thought, well, here we go. Now everyone will finally see the true impact of Brexit. We'll see just how severe the consequences will be for the economy. But then that same year, COVID-19 happened. When COVID hit, everything went into lockdown. Lockdowns meant you couldn't ship goods across countries. Ships got stuck in the straits and trucks couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't even leave your house or do anything. The global supply chain completely collapsed. And then, so did it impact the UK economy too? Absolutely. It was really serious. But COVID actually had one upside. It kind of acted like a smokescreen. You know, all those problems with exports and imports. Like I couldn't export things easily and importing was tough too. I could barely import anything and food and goods were getting expensive everywhere. Was that because of COVID or was it because of Brexit? At that time, it let the people who had supported the Brexit referendum still hold their heads high with pride. Why? Because ever since Brexit officially took effect in January 2021, if you ask whether it started to, was it already having a negative impact on the UK economy? It had already started, but people just couldn't see it because there was this excuse that totally blinded everyone. Like, hey, it's because of COVID, you know? Plus, at that time, if anyone tried to talk about, hey, Brexit is hurting the economy, people would be like, what's your proof? Look at the FTSE 100. Sure, it dropped right after the referendum, but once it was over, but just a short while later, the FTSE 100 bounced right back. Came back a lot, actually. The FTSE 100 is the London index, because a lot of people would say, if you want to know how their economy is doing, just look at their country's stock market index. It's doing well. That must mean their economy is definitely good. And at that time, the FTSE 100 looked really strong, right? We tend to get used to thinking like that when someone says their economy isn't doing well. Look at their stocks. It's at an all-time high. How could things not be good? We still hear people say things like this all the time. So why was the FTSE 100 still doing well back then? Well, some analysts said it's because the companies listed in the FTSE 100 are registered in London. That's true, but most of them are massive multinational corporations, giant oil companies, mining firms, banks, pharmaceutical companies, and major consumer goods conglomerates. These are companies that earn most of their revenue from overseas. According to estimates by the index compilers themselves, they say that the companies fitting this description, big international firms making their money from sales outside of England, make up about 80% of the FTSE 100. So when you look at the FTSE 100 and say, wow, it's doing so well, that's not really measuring whether British people have purchasing power or if the UK economy is really that strong. What it's actually measuring is, wow, global consumers are doing great right now. Back when Brexit happened, the pound weakened, but that's exactly the reason, because the pound was weak. So that also contributed to the FTSE index being able to rise even more, because these companies earn revenue from overseas. If the pound weakens, the profits they make from selling abroad, when converted back into pounds, they end up getting more pounds. And in the London index, right, London uses the pound as the measurement. So when they sell overseas and exchange it back, they get more pounds, which means more money. Since the index is measured in pounds and there are more pounds, the stocks have to go up, right? Do you get it? It means the company sells the same amount, the value is the same, but when they exchange the money back into pounds, they end up getting more pounds. So it looks like they have more money so the problem isn't about the value or selling more. The problem is with the measuring unit at that time, which is the pound, and the money, the pound got weaker. Get it? If you don't get it, just put it aside for now and watch it again later. Back to Brexit. It took effect in January 2021, but we couldn't really see how much it hurt the economy because of COVID, right? But if you ask whether COVID had a big impact on the UK economy, it had a huge impact. At that time, the UK government had to borrow an enormous amount of money, which caused the country's public debt to increase during that period from 50% of GDP to almost 100% of GDP. And if you go back and watch the video about interest rates as a superpower, you'll see that because the BT in the UK increased so rapidly, it ended up causing interest rates to start having a significant impact on the UK as well. Now, coming back to the point, the government borrowed an enormous amount of money. The debt was really massive, right? At that time during COVID, hey, every country was borrowing. Who was lending? Yeah, so who were the creditors? The answer is the creditors could be other countries for one part, but another part, sometimes the creditor is actually themselves. What does it mean to borrow from yourself? The government just issues the debt, and then the central bank prints money to buy the government's debt. Can they really do that? Yes, they can. Every country does it. And if you ask what happens after they print money to buy their own government's debt, inflation, of course, money loses its value. While the value of goods stays the same, the money supply keeps increasing. So its value is divided by a much larger amount. So its value drops. And at that time, England got hit again. Russia attacked Ukraine, and the United States imposed sanctions on Russia. England was one of the countries that had to join in on the sanctions, including sanctions on Russian oil. So energy prices in England just skyrocketed because there was no more cheap energy from Russia. That led to double and even triple inflation. And by the time business owners, especially the small ones, realized what was happening back when they were still in the EU, right? If England wanted to send goods from England to Germany, it was just like sending something from Bangkok to Udon Thani. But after Brexit, everything changed completely. Suddenly, there were significant and complex trade barriers. So now there's VAT, various other types of taxes, and a massive ton of paperwork to deal with at the border. The customs checkpoint is now super strict. So you might ask, if the paperwork takes like 10 or 20 minutes per truck, it might not seem like that big of a deal, right? Like, why not just deal with it? Other countries do it too. You just have to send the documents through customs, right? But you get what I mean, right? They haven't done this in a long time. So even those 10 or 20 minutes, they had to check every single truck. And there were thousands of trucks waiting to cross the border. At that time, the business owners were just shocked. For the big companies, they could, hire someone to handle. They could hire staff to help take care of things and make customs procedures smoother, right? But for small business owners, they just don't have the money to hire anyone. So that's why now there are 16,000 fewer UK businesses exporting to the EU compared to before Brexit. But there is one industry that has really boomed after Brexit, and that's the customs industry. The UK has had to train tens of thousands of new customs officers so that they can come and work at customs. But if anyone thinks, hey, taxes or dealing with customs paperwork is already bad, it gets even worse than that. Because actually, the deepest and most severe damage to the UK isn't actually about taxes or customs paperwork. It's about the chaos. Seriously, over the 10 years since Brexit, there's not a single business in the UK that can say with confidence what the rules and regulations really are, what deals are in place, or what agreements exist. Is this a no deal? Is it a soft Brexit or a hard Brexit? What's being checked at customs? What taxes are they collecting? Which government's in power? Who's the prime minister now? Seriously, this chaos is everywhere. And when it comes to immigration, after January 2021, right? That's when the freedom of movement from the UK to the EU ended. At that point, EU workers just disappeared overnight. But this sudden disappearance of European workers happened because at a time when the UK economy wasn't ready for everyone to just disappear, because the UK economy still needed workers. Whether it was people working in offices, people taking care of patients in hospitals, or those looking after the elderly, they were all needed. So then at that point, the UK government realized it was a problem. The Prime Minister at the time, Boris Johnson, decided to issue a visa that basically opened the doors for Europeans and others to come work in the UK, like the skilled labor visa, or something like that. Welcome. This led to what they called the poorest wave in 2023. It might not feel all that great, honestly, but because this was a wave or a migration surge that reached an all-time high, up to 940,000 and 4,000 people in that single year. With so many people coming in, honestly, the British people definitely wouldn't like it. And yes, it became a problem. After that, the British government raised taxes on immigrants. For those coming in, they already had to pay regular taxes, but now they also had to pay extra for the NHS, which is the healthcare welfare. Basically, they had to pay double. And after that, there was the Home Office in the UK suddenly raided companies that had quotas to sponsor skilled labor workers from abroad. At that time, the Home Office inspected up to 124,000 companies that had received licenses to sponsor foreign workers. Not only that, The Economist also reported that the government revoked work permits for foreign workers. For foreign workers reached as high as 4,369 in just 1 year. That was also an all-time high. When things are like this, it's like, you don't want me and I don't want to go to your place either. As a result, the number of immigrants in the UK dropped sharply by 80%. In 2023, the number of immigrants coming in was as high as 944,000 people, right? In 2024, it dropped to only 171,000 people. This could really be called an effective policy, whether it's a policy to attract people to come work or a policy to discourage people from coming to work. But still, you can only say that you see results, but whether those results are good or bad is another matter. But the point I really want to emphasize is that, to be perfectly honest with you, chaos is actually the true and ultimate enemy of the economy, because chaos and instability are things investors don't like. Because investors and business people, they don't know, right? Like, hey, what will the regulations be like 5 months from now? Will they change? Will the government change? Or will the prime minister change or what? Because if you start building a factory, you might not even finish it before regulations change. What about what's already built? Or you invest and then a new government comes in and taxes change. No one wants that risk. And when investors don't invest, no factories are built. There won't be any new jobs created either. The Bank of England has even assessed this. They found that business investment was lower than expected by up to 11%, 3 years post-Brexit. When investors hesitate, business owners do too. Don't dare to build. Without building, the economy won't grow. It's a freeze, a standstill. And when the economy stops, it's actually moving backward, means loss, and it ends up becoming a loss that keeps compounding over time. In the end, if the political situation never stabilizes, investors simply will never dare to invest, and the economy will never truly go anywhere. There's absolutely nothing new to generate income in the country. In the end, what that country gets is the status of being stuck as permanently poor. Just giving an example here, I'm just thinking a lot. In England itself, there are several news outlets saying, wow, England is now poorer than Mississippi, which is the poorest state in the United States. So is that true? Honestly, if you take London, the financial powerhouse, out of the equation, that's right. The Financial Times even wrote that if you remove London's output and population from the national accounts, England's standard of living would drop significantly, by as much as 14%. Hearing this, some people might be thinking, wow, if everything happening in England right now is a result of Brexit, then why not just rejoin the EU, England? That would solve the problem, right? Rejoining. And yes, there are quite a few Brits who want their old EU passports back. In fact, rejoin has become a new political selling point. Like if a new prime minister comes in and just hits the button to sign the Article 49, sign a few documents in Brussels, and then all the stagnation over the past 10 years would just disappear in the blink of an eye. But honestly, this kind of political selling point about rejoining today, isn't it really just the same as the Brexit selling point from 10 years ago, only flipped around? The situation today compared to 10 years ago is actually very different, because back then, The UK was still wealthy, but today, the UK isn't thriving anymore. It's not rich. The EU might not even want the UK that much. Or if you look at the EU side, how's their economy? Not so great. If the UK comes back, goes to ask to rejoin now, the EU might just ignore them. Or if they do let them back in out of courtesy for an old friend, they probably wouldn't give the UK any special privileges like before. Like the first time they joined. You know what I mean? It's like when people break up and get back together, it's never quite the same. Alexander Todor, the chief economist at the Center for European Reform, who's basically a big shot on the EU side, said that you wouldn't want to marry someone if you're not sure they're serious about the relationship, right? Don't you think? And why is that? Because it's a political policy today from the UK, right? The pro-rejoin one. If the EU says okay and the UK rejoins next year, will they change prime ministers again? Will the policy shift? What if the new leader doesn't want a good relationship with the EU? Then what? The EU would say, see, I don't really want to marry someone I'm not sure about. Are you really going to be serious with me or not? But if you ask me, honestly, I think that the fact that the UK did Brexit, it's been 10 years now, right? It might be like a pilot model for the world, don't you think? Because 10 years ago, we didn't know. But now the world's model is basically no globalization, right? Everyone's just looking out for themselves. Relying on others is a risk. If you don't want to take risks, you have to make a living and take care of yourself. So the UK leaving the EU is basically like a showcase. Like, I'll show you how it's done first. So the problems in the UK, if it's Brexit and all the chaos, it's because they still can't sort out their own political issues at all. If they rejoin, it could cause chaos by changing the system once more. So the key to solving the country's problems might be to first fix the political turmoil, acting for the nation, so they can have a government that lasts long enough to implement policies. This gives investors confidence and business owners the courage to create something new, and it would allow the country to find new ways to generate income, which could then be used to improve and maintain the nation's infrastructure, whether it's welfare systems or anything else, to truly improve people's quality of life first. That's about it.